I tagged the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated in a LinkedIn post to submit to their Sports Illustrated swim search. And I was advocating for women dealing with chronic health issues to have representation in SI Swim. She actually had told me, the reason why you're here is because you tagged me in that LinkedIn post and nobody's ever done that, and it caught my eye.
Welcome to the 9 to 5 Quitters Club, the podcast uncovering the creator entrepreneurs at the forefront of a work revolution. Today we're speaking with 3 successful creator entrepreneurs, Gigi Robinson, Janel Abrahami, and Brandon Smithwrick. We'll dive deep into what it really means to build a personal brand, how to make strategic choices in your content while remaining authentic, and why vulnerability can be your greatest asset as a creator. You'll learn practical approaches to content creation from 3 different perspectives and discover how consistency compounds over time to build a powerful personal brand and business. Let's dive in, and we hope you enjoy this conversation with Gigi, Janel, and Brandon. I want to start today just by asking you to, as a means of introducing yourselves, talk about how you think about what it is you're building and already how it's changed your life.
I'm building a community of creatorpreneurs. So creators who have this like entrepreneur mindset, and they don't just see creating content as this transactional thing that they do on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. They see it as like I'm building a content business around like my expertise. How it's changed, I mean, geez, 2 years ago, I just started posting because I was like, why not, right? Like the job market was so volatile, and I wanted to build my personal brand and also be like intentional about it. From that, everything from job recruiters reaching out, CEOs reaching out, wanting me to consult, interviews with like news publications, and like doors just started opening just by me talking about what I see, what I like, what I know. So it's been amazing.
I think I'm building a business that has multiple different verticals that all serve different purposes, and content is the engine that feeds all of those verticals and keeps them working together. So a little bit more specifically, I started as a coach, and so I was at least just first selling my services and courses, and then content is a thing that brought people into my world, and now I've been able to diversify my streams of income into B2B consulting, into classes. Content now means getting paid through sponsorships, where before it was just organic to bring people into my world. And on top of that will be a book and stuff. But once you focus on one vertical, then you're able to expand in more ways that make sense.
Kind of similarly to both Brandon and Janel, I've mostly built my career as a content creator first, and now I'm working on building out a community so that I can be a coach and I can hold workshops and webinars, but on a personal level, like I'm working on writing a book and also doing public speaking. And I think a majority of the opportunities that have come my way have simply been because I've opened my mouth and asked for them, or I've been very, very persistent with the organizers or just in networking to meet people and constantly like push the boundary of what I am comfortable with. I think the first time I had to give a keynote in front of people, like my whole chest blew up so red. I was so nervous. But because I took that leap and I did that, it led me to getting booked for more and more. And all of the speaking stuff that I'm doing really serves as a platform for book distribution and also awareness for brands to work with me on specific verticals in the women's health space, in the creatorpreneur space as well. And also just to simply like make anything possible for people. I think when you see a creator doing something that you have never thought of, it makes it possible. Like it opens and it unlocks things for other people where they never saw that before. So that's kind of the vibe of my content and my journey so far.
Do you all think of what you're doing as personal brands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everything. I think from the way that I show up on podcasts, in person, on stage, in my LinkedIn posts, online, in all my photo posts, in my videos, like that person is the same person. Like when you hear me on a stage, I want you to also get that same sentiment from the LinkedIn posts I'm writing, from the videos I'm creating, from the long form book that I'm writing. So for me, like the branding is very, very essential.
Yeah, I would agree. I think across all the different verticals of my business, whether it's my career change course, it's consulting B2B, licensing that course, public speaking, whatever, the through line is me, Janel. And my core values, the pillars that I talk about day in and day out for 5 years now, it's the same person. And my expertise and what I know I'm just naturally great at is the through line and all of the different ways that I've been able to specifically monetize me and that brilliance.
I'd agree. Like, I think your content amplifies your personal brand, but it starts with your personal brand. I know that maybe that word's getting thrown out a ton now. Before, we were just calling ourselves creators and like that was it. But the reason why brands want to partner with certain creators is because of their brand. And whether you know it or not, we all have a brand, right? We all even say like, oh, that's someone brand for you, right? Whether we know it or not, whether you're timely, whether your expertise provides value, whether you just create like quirky content that's relatable, it adds to your brand. And whether you're like intentionally building your personal brand online or not, in subtle ways, you kind of are.
Yeah, it's about the brands that even you wear, the brands you talk about, the companies that you decide to work with in a completely like non-sponsored way. Like, how are you running your business? Are you using MailChimp or are you using Beehive? Like, what does that say about you as a creator? If I heard someone was using MailChimp, I'd probably think that they were older, like the generation above us, like old millennials and Gen Xers kind of. And then for newer people, I'd assume Substack or Beehive.
Yeah. The cool thing about a personal brand too is that like it gets to be so specifically, uniquely you, even if you are basically playing in the same spaces and delivering similar value to similar clients. We all deliver something very different. Because when a client, whether it's a B2C client who wants to take my course Pivot with Purpose, is it someone booked me for speaking or a brand, they now know because I've been sharing specific, deliberate parts of myself and my brand. They know my cat Charlotte. They know that I have anxiety, but I'm still going to get the cold brew. They know that I need accountability to walk on my walking pad every day, but I shared those bits of myself too. And that's what makes my personal brand, in my opinion, valuable, because it's not just another, here are 5 words to never put on your, no. It's how me and my worlds and my expertise and my network all think about the future of work and these like tactical tips that you could get anywhere, but it's not going to be delivered with the insight and the background that we can deliver in each of our different ways.
Totally.
Terry Rice yesterday made me nervous for this conversation because he sat down and was like, personal branding is dead. But
Hot take.
he was
Hot take, yeah.
he was basically saying we're entering a world of character branding.
Okay.
Because personal
So
branding,
just a rebrand of personal branding.
basically, yeah.
Touche.
His argument was that, like with AI or tools that can
I can see
basically
that.
create brands or personal brands, you can create this whole ethos around yourself, and more it's going to be about people's faults, not their strengths necessarily. Have you found yourself, even in the last year or so, as the tide is changing, altering how you show up in a space, thinking how you show up differently, or are you just committed to showing up how you are?
I wouldn't say it's altering. I think all creators start off with sharing what they know or sharing a gap, sharing something. And along that journey, you might just become more vulnerable. So maybe by way of doing that, you're sharing your weaknesses. I think we've all done it. I've shared like, I've been burnt out. There's been months where like, hey, I don't have anything to even talk about. I just feel like I'm just drained. I have a 9-to-5. I'm a creator. I run my own business. I have family. Like there's just so much going on. And maybe that's like building this character brand where people are like, oh, wow, he's human. He's balancing all this stuff. But I just think as a creator, your vulnerability just feeds into your content.
I think the good news for someone who is thinking about creating a personal brand, but it feels very like hairy, scary, is that the tide that we are seeing is that we want to be taken along for the highs and the lows and the good and the bad. And by sharing that vulnerability that Brandon was talking about is only going to make us more connected to who you are, thus your personal brand. For example, like I've gone the 9-to-5 and I've juggled the 9-to-5 and my side hustles, and now I'm full-time working for myself and consulting, but I have brought my community and folks who follow my personal brand through the entire thing. Well, just got laid off. Come on this job search with me.
Yeah.
Well, got it rejected. I guess it's time to give entrepreneurship another shot. But I've heard so many times, there's so many DMs and responses to newsletters and emails like, thank you for showing this. Now I trust you even more, and I think I will purchase this thing that you've built, like a course or a class. Or, hey, do you want to come talk to my community that I've created about this thing that you've been talking about? But it is that, let me show you the real, instead of, like I was saying, like any other video, polished corporate media that you could find anywhere else.
Yeah, I've been sharing my story with women's health and chronic illness since about 2017 on the internet. So for me, sharing vulnerable things and sharing those lows has actually been something I've been doing. And because I did that, I kind of then took a little bit of my own little spice, my flair, and that's where I opened my mouth back in 2022. I tagged the editor-in-chief of Sports Illustrated in a LinkedIn post to submit to their Sports Illustrated swim search, and I was advocating for women dealing with chronic health issues to have representation in SI Swim. And she actually had told me, the reason why you're here is because you tagged me in that LinkedIn post and nobody's ever done that, and it caught my eye. And so I've always been doing that. But again, I've been using social media kind of as just the vehicle to propel my mission. And even though it started as me talking about women's health, it's led to so much more, because talking about women's health and chronic illness is not just like, okay, you're sick and what do you do about it? It's like, what are the mindset shifts that you have to make in order to live life living with a chronic illness, first of all? Second of all, what kind of job flexibility do you have? So when I talk about the future of work, I'm not actually talking about, corporate future of work. I'm talking about entrepreneurship. I'm talking about the only reason why I've been able to get the care I've been able to get has been because I've worked for myself. Yeah. Had I been forced to go into a 9-to-5, I don't think I actually would have been able to even survive that with my chronic health issues the way I have. So for me, it's just, it all blends together when you kind of zoom out from, okay, Gigi talked about her chronic health issue. Let's pan out. What's happened now? Well, she runs a business. She helps other people run businesses. She advocates for people on global stages now about future of work, about women's health issues. And it all started with that vulnerability. And I'm not encouraging everybody to go out there and talk about their deepest, darkest pain, right? It could be something as simple as, I don't really like the short days in the winter and it makes me feel really not productive. Or maybe it's like, I just simply hate the cold and I hate going outside, but work is work. Like, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be so deep, but you can build on it. Everything's going to compound over time. And again, like, I've been doing this since part-time since 2015, but I went full-time in 2020. So I've been doing this for quite some time. And I feel like now in 2025, I'm finally starting to see the puzzle pieces all fitting together. Whereas before I was just focused on like painting the one little puzzle piece at a time. And now they're just starting to go together. So this is also a reminder of like, if you are starting from that place of vulnerability, it's going to take some time.
I want to use that to kick off because I want to dig a little more. I think people who have been doing it for a while, you'll take for granted the very strategic choices that you make every day, even as you represent yourself authentically or as you're building your brand. So speaking to someone who isn't starting, but who's built a bit of an audience, but is trying to make these decisions like, do I share my deepest, darkest secrets? Like, where is the line of the vulnerability? Can you think of the choices you make to show up as you are, but also strategically? You all are making clear choices in how you post, how you show up. Do you think about that much anymore, or is it just kind of autopilot at this point?
Like, what is the end goal? Because if you're just getting online and you're, during, I think, the past couple of years with these really volatile job markets, people are going on the internet crying about how they just like lost their job. Okay, but like, why are you posting about that? Are you posting about it to kind of normalize the situation? Or are you posting about it for attention? Or are you posting about it because you think that's how you're going to get another job? I mean, like, what's the goal in that? And I think about that with every single piece of content I'm putting out, whether that's, I just did one yesterday, how I was a TikTok campus ambassador in college, and I got to go to the TikTok HQ back in 2018. And I literally was scrolling through my videos looking for this one thing, and I found it. And there's this video of me. I was literally blonde, had eyelash extensions. Like, I'm unrecognizable, to be honest with you. And I did like a little spin. And then yesterday, flash forward, now a arm of my company, Host of Influence, is a TikTok live creator network. And so I was there as the founder and CEO of my own company, like 7 years later versus being, 2018. Did I do the math right? I did. Okay. Oh my God. Sorry. You're going to need to cut that. That was so embarrassing. Please don't make me seem bad at math. So now I was at TikTok 7 years later, and you have this crazy before and after journey, but like 7 years, holy shit. That's like a long time, you know? And so my goal in posting that is to show you what's possible. Like the decision that I made to show up on TikTok in 2018 when I was the TikTok girl, I was so annoying on campus. Everyone was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden 2020 happened. Guess what? Everyone wanted to be my friend. And I was like, I don't really know what to tell you guys. Like, just start posting. Like, my advice is truly start posting, but have an end goal in mind.
I think there's 2 ways you can approach it. One, this is the way I did it. I had a 10-year vision. I had the goal in mind, and then I reverse engineered and worked backwards. I have also seen really successful personal brand businesses blossom when someone didn't have that vision, but instead just created the content that resonated with their audience, learned from audience feedback, created more of that content, then said, everyone's asking if I can have a free Slack group, or if I can just like make a little community or a Facebook group. Okay, I'll do that. And then one thing leads to another. But if they were to look back like, oh, I actually didn't have a plan for any of that, and it still works. So I do want to say, like, yes, you can be someone like me who has this like whiteboard, like a mad woman, like this is where I'm going to be in 15 years. And like, maybe that's not going to happen. And it could happen very organically. But I do agree with like, but what is the purpose? Like, why are you creating this? Why is it important or exciting or even just like fun for you to create this, build it, put it out there and see the reaction? Is it because you love to be entertaining? You love the laugh. We all love a laugh, right? Or like you're chasing the high of your first laugh or like viral comedy post. Or is it because you were just so passionate about policy or making change in certain health spaces or in certain communities that like this is a message that needs to be said and I need to be the one to say it? At least having that clarity on who am I and what is my role in this space. And then sometimes you can't plan for what actually happens, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And on the thing that you said, I've personally found that when I've seen friends kind of go the non-linear route to kind of just bounce around, that actually leads to burnout faster and they give up sooner.
That's fair.
So I'm not discouraging people from that because I think that's valuable too. At some point, we all have just kind of been like, I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, it could be a great place to start.
It's a great place to start
and
build.
layer on some strategic vision when you're like, okay, like this feels good. Yeah. Now I know how to set up my phone or whatnot, and then stages. Yeah.
I think one thing like we're touching upon here though that's so interesting is like we all actually do think about these things, but you can see the different approaches, right? Gigi is basically saying consistency compounds. As the more I'm consistent with something, it's going to compound that effect. I'm going to be able to even go back 8 years ago and show you how we're still doing it. You were a coach. And because you're a coach, your mindset is now, cool, how can I reverse engineer this? It's like frameworks is how you build things and how you even systemize it. I started in social media as like a social media manager. So I've always been like doing things for other brands. So when it came time to do it for my own content, I know how to write a caption. I know how to write a hook. So maybe that ramp up period for me was second nature by that point, but we all have muscle memory in some way. But at the same time, we're still doing things intentionally. There's some times when we're like, all right, cool, I need to build in public. All right, there's some times when you're making this post and there is a goal in mind. There's sometimes where, hey, I just want to offer value. So there's strategic decisions, I think, with every single post. And the way I think about it is there's some posts that will just be for like awareness, right? Here's awareness of what I'm building, what I'm doing. There's some posts that I just want to give my community this free guide. That's going to build trust. That's going to build credibility. So there's, I guess, like different ways to approach your content creation and your frameworks for like what pillars you even want to speak about. But I would just encourage someone to not look at the finished product and think that's where you need to be. It takes so much time to like have a conversation and then think about, that's a post. Yeah. Or like when you're talking with someone like, all right, they have this pain point. I'm pretty sure other people have this pain point. So let me make content about this. That content mindset takes a bit of training. So I would just say, start slow. I think we all say like, just post what you're comfortable with. Even if you don't want to start posting, start commenting, start researching, start learning, start saving. Just by doing that, you're gonna realize, I see this pattern on LinkedIn where everyone's doing like these line breaks. Why is that? Yeah. I'm seeing this pattern on TikTok where like everyone's putting the phone down as if they just had this idea, but I know they plan to film this. You're gonna start seeing like the science behind how people create content. Yeah.
And I will say also, we've been very video heavy on this advice, but there are so many different ways to build your personal brand based on what comes naturally to you. If it's going to be a Substack and that is your place to shine, fantastic. If it is going to be LinkedIn thought creation, there are whole agencies now being built from the ground up, specifically focusing on LinkedIn written posts, sometimes not even video. So video is just like, that's just a non-starter for me. It doesn't have to be a non-starter for your personal brand. There are other ways to do it.
And also right now I'm seeing a huge trend of like just basic storytelling. Everybody loves an underdog. So when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm always seeing the like, my success didn't happen overnight, or like, you know, I'm actually posting this again, like kind of cringe video about how I started TikTok back in 2018. And like, I literally was an intern at Warner Bros. At the time, and I would finish my morning work and I was hired to do like TikTok research for them. And so I would do my morning work, go on my lunch break, film dance videos, like so cringe. Like I'm really not that good of a dancer, but like it was just like all the like early on TikTok dances, and I would do that and it was so cringe. But had I not failed in public that way, and had I not embarrassed myself and gotten comfortable with it, I would not have the career that I have now. And so I think part of it is like, what's your underdog story? And again, it doesn't have to be deep. It could be something as simple as like, I decided to embarrass myself in public. Like, which is true. Like it is a little embarrassing, but like at the end of the day, who cares? Like you're your own biggest critic. And so you have to get over that hurdle too.
So all of this is towards a goal.
Yeah.
What is the end goal for each of you?
I want to grow and scale my company, Hosts of Influence, and also Creator Etiquette. I'm not 100% sure if I want to grow and exit that company, but I do have a goal of growing and building a company to potentially exit and or get acquired. And then also, again, like public speaking for motivational purposes for people living with chronic health issues. And I think in today's world and our country, unfortunately, that's a little over 60% of our population living with at least one chronic health issue. And if you don't have one, someone you know probably does. And so this is a very applicable thing to everybody. And I'm using social media as kind of like the mechanism to get me there. Because also, as Janel and I have talked about before, in order to get a book deal, a lot of the times you now need social proof because they want a guarantee that you are good on stages and you're good on podcasts and you're good in the media and you know how to do all this media training so that when the book comes out, they actually hit the numbers. So for me, it's actually a really big advantage to continue growing and building and scaling all of my personal brand and my social media and consistently posting and working with new brands and doing media appearances. It's like, it's actually imperative. It's a non-negotiable for me.
Speaking of failing in public and sharing that story, I agree. I'll go here. So what I'm building is really just like around a mission to help people realize that their potential never expires. You haven't wasted your potential. It's still yours to grab, whether it's in your career and professional life or in your personal life. So the ways that I can help people remember that they still have their potential available to them and then fulfill that potential, there are so many different ways for me to do that. Right now, I'm currently doing it through a course, Pivot with Purpose, another course coming out about your personal brand, my eventual book that's being queried as we speak, public speaking, and who the hell knows, maybe it's going to be like the Janel and Gigi and Brandon talk show in a couple of years. It's going to be our cast.
This is our pilot.
Right. But there are so many, like I tried the podcast thing and it didn't work, but I tried it, you know what I mean? But the different ways in which my mission can come to life are really endless. And I just got my first two rejections for my book proposal this week. Like,
which is great.
Yeah, it will happen, but like, yeah, I'm going to have a flop video. No one's going to sign up for my Substack at first. I will get rejected for my book proposal, but maybe by the time I rewatch wherever this ends up or revisit this conversation that we're having at this point in time and be like, oh, she just got her first two book rejections. And now like the 3 books are up on the shelf or something like that. Yeah.
For me, my goal was always just to show people who look like me there's another path. I never knew you could have a whole career by making content. And I think the unique thing with my story is that because I'm a content director for like a big tech company and I'm building an entire creator business, one, I'm tired. But like two, I can also speak to, all right, I know how to build your personal brand to make you really attractive for recruiters. Because part of my story is all the jobs I've worked for, I didn't apply for. They reached out to me via LinkedIn because of the personal brand I was building. So I also want to show people that I hate applying for jobs. it's exhausting. And I think the job application fatigue is so real. People will apply for like 200 jobs and never hear back. You want to kind of beat this system because it's not built for you to win, and get people to reach out for you to jobs. And then if you want to be a creator and build your own creative business, I also want to show you how your personal brand can be monetized. So just everything I'm doing just to drive that goal. I recently just launched a newsletter just to kind of reinforce this more with my community.
All three of these creators are a great example of how personal branding isn't just about polished content. It's about strategic vulnerability, consistency, and having a clear purpose behind everything you share. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, their insights show that authentic content that serves a purpose will always resonate more deeply than content created just for the sake of posting. If you want to catch the rest of this conversation, don't miss the other 2 parts linked here, and you can listen to the full episode linked in the description below. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you in the next one.